trends in the industry have very much gone away from buying a matched set of everything and having a mix and a match kind of colors, textures, patterns, things to create visual interest. I mean, there are still chefs that just love plain white, and that there's nothing wrong with that. But I guess what I'm saying is, like, on the trend side of things, I definitely think that, it's more about mixing materials, colors, all sorts of stuff.
Welcome to Let's Set Your Table, the food service and hospitality podcast that brings you the experts, trending news, and product reviews from across the industry. So grab a chair with your hosts and join us as we set your table.
Well, welcome all to yet another episode of Let's Set Your Table. I'm your host, John D. And joining me today, we've got another great episode here, is Kerry O'Connor, our co-host. Kerry, thank you so much for being with me today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
We have two great guests from Steelite International joining us here at the table, even though we're in chairs today, but here at the table.
Yeah, where's the table?
Where's the table? There's an imaginary table right here, but we are here at the table. Nick Mowat from Steelite. Thanks, Nick, for joining us. And Amy Howard from Steelite. Thanks, Amy.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So
my teacup could go on the table if it was there.
Yeah, poor Nick. We took his table away. He can't even put his teacup down. But so anyway, we're here to talk a little bit about one of our best partners, and with such an amazing brand that has global recognition, Steelite International. And we know you both work for Steelite. So Nick, what's your role and what's your title and what do you do?
Regional Sales Director for, I guess you could call it the Upper Midwest.
Okay.
It goes from Utah out in the far west back to Western PA in the east.
Okay.
Not Midwest, I guess. With my rocky geography, I know that Utah and Colorado is not Midwest.
Yeah.
So yeah, Upper Midwest.
Okay. And Amy, you are predominantly responsible for the same territory?
No, I am the district sales manager here in Chicago, and I primarily work out of our showroom in the 8th floor of this very building.
Yes, and we're so glad to have you in this building. Amy has had a prior history with the Hode Group. That's how we came to know each other, and I know, Kerry, you've worked with Amy and Nick quite a bit every day.
Every day, yep, absolutely. We've got a great team, a strong team, and the best product on the planet to sell.
Yeah. So, guys, one of the, I think is we're coming up from the Southeast, and, we host our podcast down there and we do it virtually as well. It's really cool to be finally in the showroom. And I know Amy had her hands on the design and the layout of this showroom at one point. Didn't you, Amy?
It was mostly a Melissa thing, but yeah, I did a little bit.
Yeah. It's just a great space. But let's talk about Steelite. Steelite, what percentage of the tabletop market do you guys think you have? I mean, how large are you? What's your ranking out there?
I'm going to throw out a number. I think it's probably about 40%.
Yeah.
It'd be my kind of guesstimate,
In commercial?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Commercial.
We're not in retail.
No.
So that's a different animal.
Right. This is just the culinary and hospitality industry.
That's probably right.
I think that's a fairly safe number. I mean, it's growing, year on year. We seem to be kind of plowing ahead and getting bigger and bigger, not just in the States, but internationally as well. So, I'd go with 40%.
So
I like that estimate.
So, I looked at some statistics lately of a lot of the culinary, especially restaurants here in the Chicago area. I kind of did a search on that. And there's, again, based on 2019, now COVID reshaped us a little bit, obviously, but there was an estimation of over 25,000 culinary restaurant shops here in the city. Do you guys do a lot of business with a lot of those local folks? Is that predominantly, how big is that Steelite brand here?
What do you mean culinary restaurant shops? Do you just mean
actual restaurants? Groups?
Oh, okay.
I guess.
I thought you meant literally like retail centers.
No, just restaurants.
I think we do business with the vast majority of them in some way or another.
I would agree. Absolutely. Yeah. 85% probably.
Yeah.
Wow, that's huge.
I think just seeing the traffic through the showroom, I mean, that's kind of a good gauge on what we see coming through, then what we're successful in converting or securing. And some of it's new business, some of it's existing relationships, and they're opening up new spots. And I think, the traffic we get is pretty solid.
Yeah.
What was the number through January, February, which are the slowest months of the year? 90 plus appointments.
Yeah, I think,
that's huge.
Weekly, we have at least 10, anywhere between 10 and 20 appointments a week.
Yeah. And normally a multiple at a time too, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
So those folks coming here, is it usually a complete switch over? Is it a rehab? What brings them in the door?
Really depends. It could be anything from a brand new opening where they have nothing and they're just bringing mood boards and ideas, and we're starting from scratch and we're, speccing the whole tabletop. It could be that they were buying something from another supplier and it was discontinued, or it's no longer available, or they can't get it and they just need, they need to swap out something, a specific, flatware or glassware. Sometimes it's that they're doing a menu refresh or a rebrand and they want to continue using some of the same product that they had before, but they want new stuff too. It really runs the gamut. Like, I have customers that are coming in for one item, and I have customers that are coming in to spec an entire restaurant and everything in between.
So you do a lot of residual business. There's a lot of
absolutely.
Yeah.
We have to, because otherwise, there's not that many new openings.
True.
So there has to be.
Yeah.
I feel like, especially since COVID too, like customers are coming in more often for tabletop. It's a relatively inexpensive spend, to make things look brand new and draw in new customers, draw in new clients, and especially in the custom realm too, which we do extremely well. They'll come in, they understand that everybody eats with their eyes now on Instagram and
Absolutely.
Facebook, and it's a process, but when you get your name out there and when then you can partner with somebody like Steelite who knows, we're going to get the job done for them. That's what we see a lot of too.
Sure.
I think also the value that is there with the showroom, because they'll come in maybe looking for a new plate, a bowl, a glass, a wine glass, flatware. And when they come into the space and they see all the other categories that we touch and other ideas and the new products and, what's new and exciting, they might come in for one piece of, equipment and walk out with a whole new kind of suite of glasses or new flatware, or even come back the following week for some other ideas. So it can really grow from one single visit into multiple categories. And that's the value that the showroom really offers.
Definitely.
So what is the common, are there common mistakes that most operators make when they're thinking about entering into this tabletop decision, whether they work with Steelite, and hopefully they do? Do you find many common mistakes?
There's lots.
Are there? Are there? Let's, again, for those listening that maybe are on the edge of thinking, do I work with Steelite? Not. Should I work with the Hode Showroom and the Steelite Showroom? What advice would you have for them as they're looking to make this decision, maybe to help them save some pain points for them?
Carrie, what's your favorite thing to hear from a customer when they come in the showroom?
Oh my gosh.
It's always because when we, how we kind of open every appointment is tell us about your concept, tell us what you're here looking for. And if it is an opening or it is a menu refresh, tell us when you need product by. So our favorite thing to hear is when a customer says, we're opening 3 months from now. But usually it's not usually, but sometimes it's 2 weeks from now or 3 weeks from now. And we're
400 seat restaurant.
We're are y'all high? Yeah. What are you doing?
I think a comment, and I think there lies the onus on the operator. Understand that most of the time, China, tabletop is almost the last thing that they think of. Although it should be the first thing that they get done, once the walls are up, because
it's pretty hard to serve food without plates.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But it's true, they'll splurge on wonderful furniture and lighting and decor and sound and everything else. And they go, what we haven't got? Wine glasses, or we haven't got flatware. And that's when they come in, and it can be that panic, running around with the hair on fire situation.
And, here's the thing. We have 16,000 items in stock in our warehouse.
Wow.
Chances are we have something to sell them. It just might not be what they want. So it's if you want to be able to choose and have us help you actually build a cohesive, beautiful look for your restaurant, which is my favorite thing to do, we need a little bit more time. We're not Amazon. We're not going to prime it to you in 2 days. We need some time to pick and pack that order and ship it to you, and make sure that we have especially for openings too. It's resupply is one thing. Usually we have, if we stock something, we have a few hundred pieces on hand. But if you're doing an opening and you need, several hundred or 1,000 or whatever, we might not have that. And so then it's a matter of you get into these longer lead times where we're placing orders from the factory, and, it can take some time to get it in.
Well, go ahead, Nick.
I think that the fact that they are engaging with us and coming to the showrooms a great first step. That's a positive. Making sure that they're engaging with us or coming in. We can then, as a team, direct them, advise them, check on inventory, and help them help themselves. So that's a great first step. Mm-hmm. Timing is always a challenge, but the more they give us, the better. But coming in again and using the team's knowledge and expertise is a great first step. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And also maybe understanding that all of our products are commercial grade. They're all, for the hospitality industry.
So that's another thing that I'll get from customers sometimes, like, oh, I saw this customer, or I saw this plate at Crate and Barrel that I loved, or I don't know, some other, or Target or whatever. And you're like, yeah, no, no, bro. That stuff is not meant to withstand the rigors of commercial food service kitchen. And anybody who's worked in the back of a house knows what kitchens are like and what happens in dish pits. And it's rough. And everything that we design is designed to stand up to those things. But the stuff that, Sur La Table has is not. I mean, I'm not saying none of it is, but most of it's not.
Right.
I think that's where we've been kind of quite astute, and we've been bringing to market products that look like locally made pottery, that speak to that aesthetic and that home thrown on a potter's wheel style and look, which chefs right now are really all about, and they want that look and that kind of locally made
patterns, the florals or the things like that look like grandma's china or whatever. That that's another thing. I'll get people that are like, oh, I just go to thrift stores, and it's like, okay, cool. What happens when you're out of stuff?
Yeah, you can't replace it. You can't with product.
Who has time for that? I don't know. Well, apparently some people, but I just think make it easier on yourself. You have enough things to worry about when you're opening a restaurant. Make it easy on yourself. Give yourself enough time to pick out what you want, and then you can get it again easily from the same place.
Yeah, because continuity of product's important, because if you start to then run into issues, they're running down to Goodwill when they can't get that same plate that week from the week after, then the whole look of the restaurant can change. It dilutes the whole standard, the whole guest experience gets watered down. If you have a certain look and feel in the restaurant and they don't have that same experience when they come in the next time, then you lose that repeat business, and it just kind of then starts to set in the rot.
What's amazing is you'll eat at some of these higher end establishments, and they have a potpourri of china, potpourri of glassware, and it and again, maybe it's because we're in the industry, and I'm close enough but yet removed enough from being tabletop, because that's not my specialty for the Hode Group. But you still see it out there, and you go, why do you there's.
I think sometimes it's done in a way that's. I think sometimes it's done in a way that's intentional, and I think
because they're doing it on the cheap.
No, when I say intentional, I mean I think that the trends in the industry have very much gone away from buying a matched set of everything and having a mix and a match kind of, a mix of colors, textures, patterns, things to create visual interest. I mean, there are still chefs that just love plain white, and that there's nothing wrong with that. But I guess what I'm saying is, on the trend side of things, I definitely think that, it's more about mixing materials, colors, all sorts of stuff. And I think that there's a way that you can do that and make it look intentional. And I think there's a way that you can do that and it looks like a flea market. And
I think that's probably the best way to describe it. It's like you're eating off of a table that was dressed from something from a flea market sale. But again, could be that's wonderful china, maybe has the look that they want and that appeal. But, we're spoiled. We grew up for 12 years in this industry, and not as long as some of you guys have probably done it, but we're we can tend to get a bit snobbish when it comes to.
We always turn the plates.
We're plate turners, dude.
Yep. It's just like our wine, right? I mean, you can get very snobbish.
Well, it's when you go to your favorite steakhouse that's part of a beautiful hospitality company that we work with all the time, and I'm paying $50
We're not
for a
going to
steak,
name names.
and it's a $4 plate.
And we know it's a $4 plate.
I mean,
and I know we know the check average is going to be, $500 to $600 for a table of four,
and it's a $4 plate.
And I'm getting a wine glass that has a crappy rolled edge,
right?
And a thick stem with a steam. We are snob. I am a snob. I am.
Yeah, I've drank enough wine with Amy and tasted that. Yeah, so I'm with her on the being a wine snob, but it's terrible. That's what this business creates.
Call that a connoisseur job.
Yes, I know.
Let's rebrand it.
Yes, we are connoisseurs of wine. And, but it's amazing what you see out there without that continuity. And boy, one thing about Steelite, got to toot our own horn a little bit, because it is one of our best lines that we represent here, with the value of the showroom combined with, what is it, Kerry? The 8th floor plus the second floor?
8th floor plus second floor equals a perfect 10.
A perfect 10.
Oh, all right.
It's a Kerry O'Connorism. I love it. Let's put that on the wall.
Too much green tea today. Yeah, exactly.
But, you would think that they would, more operators would do that. But because, again, like you said, the price tag's not going down. It's just, it's ridiculous what we spend today for fine dining or decent dining. But
yeah.
So let's talk about the brand of Steelite International. I mean, you guys got your hands in a lot of stuff. I mean, we have a lot of it upstairs. And can you shed a little light on how deep now the Steelite brand goes? Can you name off some of the lines and categories you guys are serving and working with?
I mean, Steelite itself is still our core brand, and it's still that's never going to change. But we have, 48 or 49 portfolio brands under our umbrella now.
Brands
so that's the way, the portfolio is just growing. And every time, Kerry, I know we keep hearing more and more on our end is what news is being released. It's staggering what you guys are doing. It's phenomenal.
It is.
So it's china, it's glassware, it's flatware, it's table lighting, it's buffet products and furniture.
Melamine.
It's
melamine and resin.
Resin.
It's like
melamine and resin.
6 categories, I think, roughly speaking. And then within each category, there's multiple tiers, as Amy was saying, with different price points within each category. So there's very few customers out there who could potentially be a Steelite customer if they're not already. I mean, I always make the example of the red plastic wing basket, the sports bar wing basket. That's not our customer necessarily, at least not on that product. We might do the wine glasses or the mixing glasses and flatware, but apart from that, just the depth of offering now we've got is, it's a challenge for us to learn sometimes all the new categories. But yeah, I mean, just we touch so many parts of the tabletop or just the operation as a whole.
And every level of need. We have a $2 plate and we have a $100 plate. Yeah. We started out, Steelite had a white plate in the 80s, I heard. And then all of a sudden there was an embossed plate in the 90s I heard about too. But I mean, in 2020 we acquired Homer Laughlin, Hall, Diversified, Walco. So big brand names in addition to our other portfolio companies that all just set the table perfectly.
Well, in the 12 years that I've been here, I know that without, saying anything negative on some of the other lines that we've represented, what a pleasure it is and how proud we are to represent Steelite. And, from someone who was, again, far removed, it's pretty impressive. We're not just dealing with just some basic tabletop company. This is a massive brand, and the value behind it is ridiculous. And that's kudos to you guys. And we're so grateful to be partners of yours. We want to get some more exposure on it. And again, I know we're well known, right? Steelite's well known. And, but again, beside maybe building some more time in as we're kind of wrapping up this little segment, any other advice you would have for that operator or that distributor pro listening, beside building more time in? Anything else?
Call your local Steelite rep.
Yeah. Let us partner
That's
with you.
That's a good one.
Let us help
we have
you.
An incredible team, and we're all passionate. We're all professionals. We're all excited about helping new customers.
It's the most
old
fun
customers,
job.
everyone.
It is. I think we're all very passionate about what we do. We get very enthusiastic about products, and that's the business as a whole. The Hode, Steelite, and all the other reps we have across the country who are all equally passionate about the Steelite brand and what we do. And as we're saying, get us involved. Engage with the team on a local basis. And we've got showrooms across the country. We've got a great team out there who can help and navigate and give advice and direction, and just bring us to the tables. A bit of a cliche, but get us involved.
We're here for the puns, Nick.
Oh, there's so many.
That's right. It's all good.
I'm holding
Nick.
back in the puns.
It's all good.
Don't hold back. Let it rip.
Yeah, let it rip. That's right. So tell us about, we'll close on the process. So those listening who haven't perhaps been to the showroom, if you're in the greater Chicagoland area, our showroom is located here in the Fulton Market District, 318?
Yep.
318 North Carpenter. Steelite is on the 8th floor. The Hode Group is on the 2nd floor. In between those two showrooms, we can answer all of your needs. That's for sure. So tell us, Kerry, and maybe we can close, Amy and Nick, how that process works. So if somebody wants to reach out.
Yeah, Amy, go ahead.
So, well, there's a few ways they can reach out. If they're specifically looking to come into the Chicago showroom, they can email. What is it Chicago? It's Chicago at
Steelite.com.
At SteeliteUSA.com.
Yep.
Chicago at SteeliteUSA.com. You can email that email address. That email address goes to all of myself and the Hode Group team that works out of the showroom. We would work with you to schedule an appointment time. And then once you get here and you come in, again, we kind of start with our little basic fact-finding mission. We want to know, what is the project? What is the scope of the project? What is the timeline for the project? Do you have a budget for the project? All of those things can help us kind of point you in the right direction of what products are going to best suit your operation. And then also, aesthetically, right? Like, do you have mood boards? Do you have swatches? Do we know what, do we have an idea of what the interior of the restaurant is going to look like? And do you have a vision of what, some people come in and they've already spent a lot of time either with a catalog or on the website, looking at products, looking at, the vast array of marketing materials that we have, and they know what they're kind of wanting to see and the direction they're wanting to go. Some people have no idea whatsoever, and that both are fine. We can consult as much or as little as you need on all of those aspects, from, budget to performance to
I was going to say, I'm sure
aesthetic
a budget usually is a steering, that's one of the steering qualifications as well. And
you don't want to go to high-end bone china if they're
to a certain extent, the concept itself oftentimes directs the budget, right? Like if it's a fast casual place, like, okay, we're not looking at, our William Edwards $80 a plate bone china. That's not the vibe. We're looking at melamine. We're looking at our, maybe one of our more mid to low, China brands, something in that range. If it's somebody that's gunning for a Michelin star, we probably need to touch some of those more high-end pieces and high-end ranges. But all of that kind of, sometimes people come in and they have a very specific budget that they absolutely need to meet. And we're very good at finding ways to help incorporate your favorite products into that budget. We have ways to get really creative. Like if we need to, if we find some plateware that we really, really love, we can get really creative with some of the other elements in the tabletop and do a little bit of mixing of the high and the low to still create a really cohesive and beautiful look, but that's within that budget that we need to hit.
Great.
I think it all starts with the dinnerware. I always feel that's the kind of the foundation of the decision-making process. So they find the dinnerware they like, the pieces, the color, the shapes, and that's the foundation. And then we see it typically going from that to flatware and what pairs with the dinnerware they've chosen is the flatware. Then maybe the glassware comes on as the third tier, then possibly lighting as the fourth. So it tends to follow a natural path, with dinnerware being the building blocks of the table. And we can measure out tables and give them an idea how much real estate they have to play with. There's no point getting 13-inch platters if they've only got a limited space. And we can help them navigate that selection process.
So then from that point, we have the customers pull samples off the shelves onto a table. They can look at everything that they like together, and then we're very generous with samples. We want you to see and feel and touch the product in your own space before you actually make a decision to purchase. That's kind of in the showroom where we're putting together that sample order, and then the follow-up, is that we would send the samples and the pricing, and then usually there's additional follow-up where we're, sometimes it really depends on the customer. A lot of times customers need help with PARs. They need help with figuring out how much to order of what. And so there are more in-depth conversations once menus are finalized, and we know, okay, X, Y, and Z is going on this plate, and X, ABC is going on this plate, and we can kind of help them figure out, based on the amount of seats and the amount of turns they're hoping to get out of an evening, the level of PARs that they're going to need to have enough product. That's another mistake that people make, is not having enough product.
See, there's another one.
I know. You always want to make sure that you have enough product and service, because it's really going to help with longevity of product and also with seamlessness of service, right? Like nobody wants to be yelling down to the dish room that, we need more forks in the middle of rush. Right. That's not.
Or having a salad served in a warm bowl, or a cold beer in a hot glass, or whatever the situation could be. That's alarm bells in our eyes.
It's good stuff. Kerry, any thoughts on that as we close? And then how does the Hode Group, from your perspective, how does that flow with you from what Amy and Nick just shared?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Customers need to remember, like, 10 boxes of china sitting on the shelf is not going to help you at all. It needs to be in service constantly, and that way we keep things, keep things going. Like Amy said, contact us through the website. We all are on that email address, so one of us will get back to you relatively quickly to schedule an appointment, and then we kind of go from there. And we tag team quite a bit too. Yeah. We all work together. So if one of us isn't available, that's great. If it's a large group, there probably will be 2 or 3 of us there to help out.
Yeah. Well, guys, I just can't thank you enough for this today. It's so great. So we're not talking about disposables and trash bags. So we wanted to spend some time with you all, and I thank you for your time today. Yeah, but unfortunately, that's all the time we're going to have. And if you'd like to check us out or any more information with Steelite or the Hode Group, please check out our show notes that it's attached to this. All their contact information will be attached to this podcast. And also, please like, follow, and share the Let's Set Your Table podcast. And if you're so moved, we would be grateful that you would leave us a positive review on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube Music. And we'd also encourage you to leave us a comment, maybe perhaps some future topics you want us to discuss and in future episodes. So we hope to see you next time right here again at the table.
Please join us again for another episode of Let's Set Your Table. If you would like more information, samples, or would like to consult with the Hode Group, visit thehodegroup.com. That's HODE group.com.